the galaxy had long considered the Sol system a historical curiosity. Every advanced civilization knew of Earth, every historian knew the legends, and every scholar agreed on one thing. Humanity was extinct. According to the oldest galactic records, the human dominion had once ruled thousands of star systems. Their fleets crossed entire spiral arms. Their technology bordered on the impossible. They built artificial stars, moved planets, and constructed weapons capable of cracking moons apart. Then came the Conquerors, an endless armada from beyond the known galaxies, a force so vast that no civilization could stand against it. The war that followed lasted longer than entire civilizations survived. When it ended, humanity vanished. Or so everyone believed. 15,000 years later, the exploration vessel, Eternal Seeker, was conducting a routine survey beyond Pluto when history changed forever. Captain Arik Tal watched the sensor display with confusion. "Run that scan again." The sensor officer obeyed. A few seconds later, the same result appeared. Arik frowned. "That can't be right." "It is, Captain. Nothing should be out there." The officer nodded. "Exactly. Beyond Pluto existed only darkness and frozen debris, yet their sensors showed something enormous, something artificial, something ancient." The ship changed course. As they approached, the object slowly emerged from the darkness. At first it looked like a moon, then the details became visible. The crew fell silent. It wasn't a moon, it was a planet, a dead planet. Its oceans were gone, its atmosphere was nearly non-existent. Gigantic impact craters covered entire continents. Scars of ancient bombardments stretched across the surface. Every kilometer of the world bore evidence of unimaginable warfare, and standing at the northern pole was something even more astonishing. A fortress. A fortress so massive it could be seen from orbit. Walls hundreds of kilometers long, towers that reached into the upper atmosphere, armor plating kilometers thick, ancient, silent. Yet somehow alive, a faint energy signature pulsed from its depths. The structure had survived. Against all logic, it had survived 15,000 years. The landing expedition descended through gray skies. Ash storms rolled across the wastelands. Nothing moved, nothing lived. The world felt like a graveyard. Lieutenant Vora stepped onto the surface first. Her scanners immediately detected traces of radiation. Old radiation, very old, residual scars left by weapons beyond modern understanding. Everywhere she looked lay wreckage, fragments of warships, broken defense platforms, shattered orbital cannons, the remains of a battle that had ended 15 millennia earlier. Then, she saw the gates. They were colossal, nearly 1 kilometer high, covered in symbols from an extinct language. The translation system struggled before finally producing words. The team stared. The inscription read, "Fortress Aegis." Below it stood another message. "We endure." The gates opened. Nobody touched them. Nobody activated them. They simply opened, slowly, silently, inviting them inside. The expedition exchanged nervous glances, then they entered. The interior looked impossible. Lights still worked, machines still operated, power flowed through ancient systems. Everything appeared maintained, yet no living beings could be found. The deeper they traveled, the more incredible the fortress became. Entire factories remained functional. Armories stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Massive rail cannons sat ready behind armored blast doors. Some of the weapons were larger than modern starships. Then they found the archives. The room alone was larger than many cities. Rows upon rows of crystal databanks filled the enormous chamber. Ancient records. Ancient memories. Ancient history. When the expedition connected their translation AI, thousands of files immediately became accessible. The first file contained a warning. "If you are reading this, humanity has fallen." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Lieutenant Vora opened the next file. A holographic figure appeared, a human admiral. The recording was 15,000 years old, yet his eyes seemed alive, determined, defiant. "If this archive survives," he said, "then know that we fought until the end." Behind him burned the stars of a battlefield. Thousands of warships exchanged fire. Entire fleets vanished in nuclear fire. The recording continued. "The Conquerors came from beyond our galaxies." Images appeared. The crew gasped. The enemy armada was unlike anything they had ever imagined. Millions of vessels, not thousands, millions, entire sectors of space were hidden behind enemy formations. Civilizations fell before them. Species surrendered, empires collapsed, but humanity resisted. And resistance became war. At first humanity believed victory was possible, their fleets won battle after battle. The invaders suffered enormous losses, entire enemy armadas disappeared, human commanders celebrated, then everything changed, the conquerors adapted, every defeat taught them, every battle improved them, their technology evolved rapidly, their numbers seemed endless. What began as victories became stalemates, stalemates became defeats, human worlds started falling, one by one, sector by sector. Century after century, the war expanded across thousands of systems, eventually entire stars were weaponized. Artificial black holes became battlefield tools, space itself was torn apart. Yet neither side surrendered, the conflict continued for millennia, generations were born into war, lived in war, died in war, never knowing peace. Eventually humanity lost most of its empire, then most of its worlds, then nearly everything, only Fortress Aegis remained. The archives revealed the final chapter, when humanity realized total victory was impossible, they made a terrifying decision. They would not save their civilization, they would save their species. Project Dawn began. High beneath Fortress Aegis, humanity built enormous underground vaults, they gathered millions of civilians, scientists, engineers, doctors, teachers, children, artists, farmers, every skill necessary to rebuild civilization. Advanced stasis chambers preserved them. The sleepers would remain hidden until the galaxy became safe again. Meanwhile, humanity's remaining military forces stayed above. They knew they would never survive, yet they chose to fight. To buy time, every battle delayed the enemy, every sacrifice protected the sleepers below. The archives contained countless messages from soldiers. One Marine recorded a farewell. "We know we're not going home." Another smiled into the camera. "My daughter is asleep below us. If I hold this line for one more day, maybe she'll see a future." Thousands of similar messages filled the archive. The alien explorers found themselves unable to look away. These humans had known they were doomed. Yet they fought anyway. Not for victory. For tomorrow. Then came the final siege, the greatest battle in recorded history. The Conquerors surrounded Fortress Aegis with millions of warships. The sky tipped beneath enemy fleets. Orbital bombardments turned continents into oceans of molten rock, mountains vanished, seas evaporated. The planet slowly died, still the fortress remained. Year after year, century after century, the defenders refused to surrender. Eventually only a few million humans remained, then a few 100,000, then a few thousand, finally only hundreds, yet the fortress still fired. Still resisted, still endured. The conquerors became obsessed. Dividing Fortress Aegis became more than a military objective, it became personal. The fortress represented human defiance itself. And humanity would not break. Captain Arik continued reviewing the records. Then he discovered the final battle log. The recording showed a woman seated in a command chair, Admiral Sophia Kane, the last commander of Fortress Aegis. Alarms echoed around her, explosions shook the room, fire burned behind damaged consoles, yet her expression remained calm. "The enemy has breached the outer defenses." She smiled faintly. Expected. Another explosion rocked the command center, a nearby officer disappeared in flames. Sophia didn't flinch. "The fortress will fall within hours." She looked directly into the camera. "But Project Dawn is secure." A younger officer approached her. "Admiral, enemy fleets are entering low orbit." Sophia nodded. "Good." The officer looked confused. Sophia stood. "Begin Protocol Eternity." The room froze, several officers stared at her, one whispered. "Are you sure?" Sophia smiled. "They've earned it." The recording ended, the archives contained no explanation, no description, nothing. Only the name, Protocol Eternity. The mystery remained unsolved until the explorers reached the deepest levels of Fortress Aegis. There, they encountered something astonishing, an artificial intelligence. Still active, after 15,000 years. Its designation was Sentinel, its mission had never changed, protect humanity. Sentinel revealed the truth. Propodal eternity had been humanity's final weapon. A machine hidden within the planet itself, not a weapon designed to destroy fleets, a weapon designed to isolate civilizations. When activated, it disrupted the network of wormholes used by the Conquerors. Across multiple galaxies, simultaneously, their empire fractured overnight, supply routes vanished. Communication collapsed, reinforcements disappeared, millions of enemy fleets became stranded. Civil wars erupted, governments collapsed, the invincible empire tore itself apart, humanity lost the war, but the Conquerors lost their empire, neither side truly won. Then Sentinel revealed an even greater secret: the sleepers remained alive. Millions of humans still existed beneath the fortress waiting, protected, preserved. The explorers followed Sentinel into enormous underground chambers, their jaws dropped rows of stasis pods stretched beyond the horizon, millions of sleeping humans, frozen in time, unaged, alive. The greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history stood before them. Humanity wasn't extinct, humanity was waiting. After extensive analysis, Sentinel made a decision. The galaxy had remained stable for thousands of years, the Conquerors were gone, threat levels had fallen below activation thresholds. Project Dawn could finally conclude. One by one, the stasis chambers opened, then thousands, then millions. Humanity awakened. To them, only a single night had passed, yet 15,000 years had vanished. The first reactions were heartbreaking. Many searched for loved ones, others asked about Earth, about their homes, about their empire. The answers were painful. Everything they knew was gone. Entire civilizations had risen and fallen while they slept. The human dominion existed only in history books. For a time, grief consumed them. Then something remarkable happened. They adapted. Humanity always adapted. Within decades, new human settlements appeared, ancient knowledge combined with modern galactic science. Human engineers rebuilt technologies long thought impossible. Human scientists advanced fields that had stagnated for millennia. Human diplomats formed alliances across the stars. The return of humanity transformed the galaxy. Yet the greatest discovery came from studying captured Conqueror records. The invaders had not crossed galaxies simply to conquer. They had been fleeing, running from something, an ancient force, a civilization killer, a threat so terrible that entire galaxies abandoned their homes to escape it. At first, many dismissed the warning. Then deep space observatories detected unusual signals. Ancient signals, moving toward known space, slowly, relentlessly, exactly as the Conqueror records predicted. Panic spread. Governments feared another extinction-level conflict. Military coalitions formed. Emergency summits convened. The galaxy prepared for war, and once again, all eyes turned toward humanity. The species that had survived 15,000 years of conflict, the species that had refused to surrender, the species that had endured when logic demanded extinction. 100 years after awakening, a ceremony was held at Fortress Aegis. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered. The ancient fortress still stood above the dead world, scared, damaged, ancient, yet undefeated. Human Prime Minister Elena Kane, a descendant of Admiral Sophia Kane, addressed the assembly. She stood before the fortress gates, the same gates that had survived 15,000 years. Behind her, fluttered the banners of countless allied worlds. "We are not here to celebrate victory," she began. "We are here to remember sacrifice." Silence covered the gathering. "Our ancestors did not survive because they were stronger." She looked toward the fortress. "They survived because they refused to abandon hope." Images appeared above the crowd. Human soldiers defending impossible odds, families entering stasis chambers. Workers building Project Dawn, the final defenders of Fortress Aegis. They fought for people they would never meet. Many in the audience lowered their heads. They died for a future they would never see. The Prime Minister smiled. "And because of them, we are all here today." Thunderous applause echoed across the dead world. For a moment it felt alive again. Not because its scars had healed, but because its purpose had been fulfilled. As night fell, the stars illuminated the ancient fortress, the same stars its defenders had watched 15,000 years earlier, the same stars as they had protected with their lives. Fortress Aegis remained standing, not as a weapon, not as a military installation, but as a monument, a reminder, proof that courage could outlast empires, proof that hope could survive extinction. Proof that even when the galaxy believed humanity was gone, humanity had never truly surrendered, and somewhere among the stars, a new threat was approaching, ancient, powerful, unimaginable. But this time the galaxy would not face it alone, because humanity had returned, and humanity remembered how to endure. The fortress had survived 15,000 years of failed conquest. Now the species it protected would ensure that sacrifice was never forgotten. And as the lights of Fortress Aegis shone into the darkness once more, the galaxy finally understood why the ancient inscription above the gates had remained unchanged for 15 millennia. Endure, *, and humanity always would.